Hello, Dave. Today is Friday, June 3rd. I am the Bro 9000, and I trust you are all functioning well today. Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Brown. Hope everybody's okay today. Today we are discussing episode 3 of Obi-Wan, or is it Obi-Wan? Not quite sure. Yes, Obi-Wan episode 3 with a couple of the regulars. So there is a lot of slides to get through, so I think we'll just get the Padmes out. They're out already, but we'll pop them on the screen. So bear with me. Whee! Would you
Hello,
boys like,
man, babies?
would you like introducing?
I
think
bloody
we
well
should.
hope so.
Yes! Okay. First up, we see the conflict within. I'll start again. Within him. There is good inside this next guest. He's full of flu. It's the Dark Sith Lord Jord.
I can absolutely confirm there is no good in me whatsoever. There is literally no space for good. It's snot, flu, and malice is basically what I've got.
After seeing your wonderful rant earlier about Obi-Wan, yes. I think the good has gone, isn't there? So,
yeah.
So.
Did you introduce us as Padmes earlier?
I did.
If you did, we'd both already be dead of sadness, so that doesn't really work. But
no,
I mean,
that'll be about 10 minutes in, I think. So
10 minutes later.
So
okay, yeah.
you're other than the Scott flu, you're okay, yes?
Yep, all good and raring to go.
Shall we get the? There was going to be some other guests, but I think they're too busy doing more important things. So, last but by no means least, a Hollywood legend live from Auntie Kathy's bathroom. It is the mighty Ruin on the back burner, Johnson.
Hello, man, babies. And I want to know, Brown, how did you know I was dressed as Padme today? I didn't realize I had my camera on, but yes, I'm sporting the senator's gown and absolutely nothing else underneath it. But I have to say, Obi-Wan, I'm enjoying every episode because every episode makes The Last Jedi look even better. I can't wait to get into this shit fest tonight.
I was just thinking, because everybody else is ragging on this, would you boys be up for a challenge?
Say a nice thing about it?
We've got to be super nice about this. Just say, like, it's the best thing we've ever seen. Are you up for the challenge?
See, I tried that. Like, the setup for the first video I did on it was, these are all the things I'm going to deliberately ignore about this show. I'm going to ignore that it's Disney. I'm going to ignore that they've been calling fans racist. I'm going to ignore that everything else they've done has been garbage.
Well, we are,
going to be as nice as is possible to this show. And I still really had difficulty keeping the "fuck you bastards" out of the script in the end. So I can try, but it just probably won't last more than 30 seconds. There's maybe one or two nice things to say about it, and that's about it.
Well, perhaps you should snort a couple of sachets of Lemsip. That might help you a little bit.
I've actually got a drip directly into my balls, so it's all good.
Shall we just see how we get on?
Yes,
we'll do it. We'll be positive. We'll find the positives. You know, you can. What's the saying? You can sprinkle glitter on a turd, and well, it will still be a turd, but it'll be a glittery turd. So
it will.
That's what we'll aim for tonight.
Okay, Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was going to take the space out between the N.
I still think you should every time we do one of these, just move the case slightly closer to the N.
I know, but what little professionalism I've got and the OCD says, no, don't do it. You'll only regret it. So anyway, maybe next time.
You're more professional than I did. There's one of the title slates pops up in my video, but I haven't quite got the dimensions right, so it expands a bit too far beyond the screen. So it just says Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I've left it because it says knob, and that's how childish I am.
Because obviously it's the worst month of the year this month. I was going to take the O out of Obi, but I thought I'd better not, so I might get into trouble.
Buy one Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wow.
Right, okay. So the old boy's there on screen. Let's do it, yes.
Watching Star Wars burn.
Smallest
font
possible
ever.
font.
Yes, test your eyes, man, babies. And by the way, Jonathan's in the spirit of things because he's already finding positives. He's
do you want to
liking
read it
some of
then? Here we go.
the ship designs. Well done, Jonathan.
Would you like to read it?
Yeah, so Jonathan says, love The Last Jedi, but that aside, there is one positive. The ship transport designs, except for the pickup truck in the last episode, looked Star Wars appropriate. I think looking Star Wars appropriate is about the best we can eke out of this show, but we'll see what else we can drag from this.
I'm just waiting for the fucking
abomination.
iron to turn up.
I particularly like the way the shadow for the Inquisitor ship in episode 1 belongs to a different ship. Like, that's some really good design work there.
Yeah, the special effects are a bit dodgy. Okay, so Mr. Brown Alliance, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you can read this, you don't need to go to Specsavers. Poster.
Poster of one of the side characters, though.
Yeah. Shall we do the initial thoughts first before we do the slides?
Let's. Yes.
Reva, would you like to go first? Your initial thoughts on episode 3.
Okay, so in the spirit of trying to pull some positives from this, I have to say it does, in all honesty, it does seem to be getting increasingly worse episode by episode. This one, probably with the introduction of Vader, it was always going to be canon breaking, and quite honestly, I think they decided, well, do we do a flashback? We need to wedge him in somehow. No, we're just going to fuck canon, and we're just going to throw him in there and make him look badass and nobody will notice. That aside, I thought the opening 10 minutes maybe was okay, and that's the best I can give you. It was okay. They were I mean, they travel to a new planet. Guess what? It's a desert planet, but actually
not as much sand though.
Yeah, and the interaction between Obi and young Leia and the slow build of tension around the stormtrooper scene, not particularly well executed in the end, but there was a little something there, I thought, just for that 10 minutes maybe. After that, it was show pony stuff. It was let's get Vader in and let's fuck everything that came before and after it. So that's the best I can give you, I'm afraid, Brownie.
Okay. Jord?
So there is it's the same scene when they're on the transports, the mining transport with the stormtroopers. There is a shot there and a line which is amazingly useful for people like me who make videos on it, because it's Obi-Wan who slumps back looking defeated and says, "I get confused." And that's really useful when you're making videos on this kind of thing, because you can just put that in so many different contexts. So that's a positive, but not necessarily with the show itself. They don't make the mistake in the same way when they introduce Darth Vader. The setting kind of works with the character design. He doesn't appear in broad daylight in the middle of an open space like the Inquisitors did in episode 1. So the set design and the character design are slightly more of a chord in this episode generally. Is there anything else? No, that's basically it. Yeah, that's it. The rest of it was just it was just not at all. Consider how much time they've spent. The first 4 minutes of episode 1, lengthy flashbacks in episode 2, flashbacks in episode 3, building up this great reunion and the conflict between Obi-Wan and Vader. The thing they told us, to use, I think, Kathleen Kennedy's own words, was the rematch of a century. And what did we get? We got
last century.
Just walking around, Obi-Wan running away 3 times, and then getting dragged through some burning sand because meme, and that was it. It was just like the most climactic moment. It's like a ruined orgasm of a scene. It just doesn't work.
wouldn't say ruined.
Oh,
I've got to shout out to Ornstens. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Romeo,
There he is.
Romeo, Tango, November, Zulu.
Perfect. You've worked in the 999 call center, Brownie. I agree. Adina Varma. I thought she was great as well. I have to say,
I know.
the difference a quality actress makes, and you believe her, and she's good, and she played the role really well. I had that in my notes. Well done. You've called it out. Romeo, Tango,
think she's
November,
lovely.
Zulu. There we go. We're finding good things. God damn it.
John Luther's ex-wife.
Isn't she?
Moving on.
Is this the woman who's also Ilaria Sand in Game of Thrones? Is that the one we're
Yes.
talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mando's
Good actress.
wife.
Yeah, good actress.
Mm.
Dermot's in. Hello, Dermot. Here we go. Matt, or is it Matt 1-0? But KK said it would be the rematch of the century.
Yes, well.
Yeah, I think in my video I put it as, it's another WrestleMania event. The Undertaker is 80 years old and he's on a Zimmer frame and they still wheel him out because, hey, remember The Undertaker? He was cool. Everyone loves him. We can still do this, guys. No, it just let it go. Stop it now.
Romeo. Indira Varma in Rome. Feel your manhood engage. Well, it's been a while, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, so Melvin. Hello, Melvin. In the olden days, short season 6 episodes existed to keep the quality of the writing high. Used to, mate. Now it's to keep costs down while they try and sell Disney minus subscriptions. Melvin, you are not wrong.
No, he's absolutely right.
He's
And the thing is,
spot
they still pace them like they've got at least twice the number of episodes to work with because there are so many unnecessary scenes and so much time taken on flashbacks and so much is done to drag out. So they condensed it to 6 episodes and they don't even have enough content to actually fill those 6 episodes without dragging it out as though they've got a 40 episode run and they have to try and make everything last. They don't really have a story to tell here. They've just got an idea, a couple of characters people vaguely like, just mash them together and make something work, and hopefully it all falls together. And it hasn't. It's all fallen apart.
Yeah, as Ruin was saying, the part at the beginning with the talk between Princess Leia and Obi, quite charming. I quite liked it. Stuff like that, I'm a bit of a sucker for. It's just rest.
Yeah, it reminded me of those. It's what the original Star Wars does so well. And we watched it a couple of weeks back, and we all noticed. It's those little in-between scenes, in between the big action set pieces, the little bits of interaction between characters, which really gives you that insight into, the character, how they feel, and everything. And it was just beginning to go there for the first time. It took 3 episodes, but you're right, Brown. The rest was pretty dire.
I'd love to know what the original script for the movie was.
The darker, grittier version.
I'm sure it was a lot better than what we're getting. But anyway, okay. So let's get some slides done. Okay, so this is the first scene. He's on the ship, isn't he? The cargo transport from last week. He's talking to his masters, is he not?
He's trying to commune with Qui-Gon again. And it's used as an excuse to sort of intersperse with clips of Vader's armor being put on to try and build up the tension because this is the Darth Vader episode. It's weird because I would guess they are actually teasing a cameo from Liam Neeson at some point, but otherwise, if he never does turn up, the alternative would be for Obi-Wan to realize the strength within himself, and actually, it's all metaphorical about communing with Qui-Gon. But in the moment, he's going on these extended prayer sequences where he's not really communing. He is just praying to Qui-Gon as though he's some kind of relic or icon. And again, it's an example of it's really blatant prequel baiting, but it's another excuse just to do more sort of flashbacks, cutaways, dragging scenes out, which don't necessarily need to be. And in this particular instance, this is the Vader episode, guys. Darth Vader is coming. He's coming, don't you know? Everyone stay down, stay here and watch. Darth Vader's going to be in this episode. He's actually coming. Darth Vader is here, guys, in case you missed the point.
He's arrived.
Yeah, you want Monty Python from, God from Monty Python's Holy Grail just to turn up and say, get on with it, because they really should be doing that.
Ruin, did you like this scene?
Yeah, so it falls into this opening which I was okay with. I was hopeful. I thought, are we actually going to get some substance here for a moment? And yeah, we got a few voices, didn't we? A few flashback voices. Did we get a Yoda in there? I seem to recall, and a few others. And it's I guess they're trying to show this, Obi-Wan trying to connect and maybe rediscover himself. And we're 3 episodes in. All we've seen Obi-Wan doing is old boy Lost Shaw mentioned is basically shitting himself and running away from people or kneeling down to people. I mean, this is the guy who killed Darth Maul, who overcame the guy who overcame his master, and now he's looking pretty pathetic. And as we're going to see later in this show, he's about to look even more pathetic. So how they're going to turn this around in 3 episodes, or whether they will, remains to be seen.
No, it's unturnable. Outcast Creative, try to keep an open mind, but God, episode 3 sank the show beyond repair for me. Give us a Max Rebo rom-com series over this shit any day.
Well said.
Wow.
Also, Rey has an easier time communing with all the dead Jedi than Obi-Wan has communing with one.
But she's the bestest ever.
She gets it out of the way in the space of 1 film, and Obi-Wan's been going at this for 3 episodes now.
Yeah, but useless old white decrepit male is the Disney hero way, isn't it?
Well, Brownie.
Moving swiftly on. Okay, so who's this?
It's a very baked-looking Anakin Skywalker. Or Darth Vader is he, isn't he?
Hayden Christensen's only appearance as Darth Vader in the
No, it's not
show.
even him. It's somebody else. It's I think it was a. I was reading about this today. It's a guy from the Ukraine, who's about 6'7", who was apparently treated like shit by Disney.
I heard they've got several people playing Vader, believe it or not. They have a guy who is the size, basically, whether that's that Ukrainian chap. They have another guy, I think, for some of the fighting scenes, and then obviously they have Hayden for some of the headshot stuff. But I don't know which of the 3 that was. But
that's McGregor. Is that a false nose?
He's looking very dwarf from Lord of the Rings there, doesn't he?
Yeah, it looks like
Gimli.
a false nose, doesn't it? I must admit, I did like this. Just looks great. The assembly of Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing
It's fantastic.
It's shadows of the prequel scene, isn't it? The Revenge of the Sith and the
Look at that, it's brilliant.
putting together of Vader, and yeah, that's a great still. Actually, I don't recall that in the
Fantastic.
episode, but you've captured it brilliantly in the still. Little red glimmers in the eyes, really like it. So yeah, this is what I mean. This episode started with actually a little bit of potential and a little bit of something going on, but
how can they just consistently cock it up?
Yeah.
Lord, do you know?
I mean, the simple, quick answer is Disney. But the other slightly, but hopefully not too much longer answer is that we've seen at the moment, Morbius is being re-released in cinemas on the back of everybody memeing about it. And they've taken entirely the wrong lesson from the memes. My theory is that this is basically why this show exists. So you've got a writing and a creative team at Disney who looks around online, because they're always online, because all modern writers are, and they see this superabundance of prequel memes, and so they've concluded that the prequels are highly culturally relevant in a way that the original Star Wars isn't. Because they're highly culturally relevant, what you need to do is to call back to them as much as is possible, and you can basically build an entire show around prequel callbacks. My running theory genuinely is that this series exists in exactly the same way for exactly the same reason as Morbius is going back into cinemas. It's that this is just memes. That's all this episode. That's all this episode is. It's all this show is. They don't have a story they want to tell. They've just looked around online. They've seen the prequel memes and they've thought, "Fuck it, we want some of that." So here we go. But they don't have a story to tell, which is why it goes downhill.
Last Jedi was trending again earlier today.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Fuck me.
What a great day. Sorry, Queenie, but people have got my movie to talk about today.
Andy Mouse, I just got to say, I watched season 3, Ep 1, The Boys, just now. It was great.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I can't wait to watch it, actually.
I would say, Andy, has it all dropped in one lump, or is it weekly?
No,
I've only seen one episode. It was
yeah,
really
I believe there's
good.
2 or 3, Brown. I think you've got 2 or 3 to watch straight off the bat.
Okay, I watched first episode. Yes, I enjoyed it. Not as they seem to have toned down the woke a little bit from season 2, but I've only seen one. But yes, The Boys, excellent.
Yeah.
So we're agreed. This is a plus point from the show. I really do like that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Look,
visually, it's great in places.
Yeah, these scenes could be straight out of Revenge of the Sith. You know, the putting together of Vader. You know, they've kept it dark. There's a little bit of smoke, a little bit of backlight. They've done everything right here. Yeah. I'm fine with it. Is that Hayden?
I don't think it is.
It's so heavy on the obviously the facial
just looks
prosthetics.
great.
It's really hard
the
to
head
tell.
Looks menacing. Don't want to fuck with that boy, do you? So, oh, somebody's here. Let's see who's turned up. It's Obi Bollocks, Kenobi Swap Shop. Hello, mate.
Hello, folks. Hello. How are you all?
Hello, swappers.
Are you well? Hello. Nice of you to pop in.
Yes, I've just finished talking to my uncle, who I haven't seen in like over a year. Yeah. Well, he's considering he's suffering from a certain stage of cancer, so got to take the best of a rare moment. You know what I mean, and sort of appreciate him while he's around. So
okay, don't show him Obi-Wan though. That'll speed things up. So
didn't mention it once.
Have you seen this episode then, Martin?
I've heard all about it. I don't need to see it. I've heard all about it. That's enough.
Yeah, this is great because we're going to get to experience it firsthand through your eyes in the form of stills. I'm sure you're going to love it, swappers.
Okay, so we were just saying that this slide, visually it looks great. This show. It's just the rest of it looks.
It's ILM, isn't it? You know, they're always good at this kind of thing. I suppose it's just the direction and the planning that lets it down.
I'm going to hold reservation on that, Brownie, because I did notice some very shoddy set work later on.
There is a bit, yes.
Yeah, we'll touch on it when we get there. But you're right. In it has its moments.
Yeah. Jacob says it does look good, but they put his helmet on wrong. This
is true. So if you remember in both the scene in Revenge of the Sith and also when Luke has to take his helmet off at the end of Return of the Jedi, the samurai sort of dome top comes on from the top. The mask part comes off from the front and is lowered onto Anakin's face in Revenge of the Sith. And here they've just thought, sod it, bike helmet, that'll do. Maybe, but then I was about to say maybe they changed the design over time, but they don't because it used to be canon that he deliberately didn't have his armor changed or upgraded because it hurt him and he wanted to feel the pain because he's a masochist. So no, there's no real justification for that. It's just ease.
So helmet on, excellent. Just all there. It's just.
Yeah, that can be out of any Star Wars movie, really, couldn't it?
Yeah.
I was wondering, is that the same? Because I think they've reused the same aesthetic and set design as they did. Because obviously we saw both of this and his throne room on Mustafar in Rogue One, and I think they've used. I think from what I remember of that film, they have used the same set design for each, so it is sort of structurally speaking the same fortress as opposed to them remaking everything. But I would need to rewatch that just to be sure.
Right, okay, so we'll pile through these. So where is this? This is his palace, is it not?
This
Yes,
is
I know not.
Mustafar, yes.
Mustafar.
Okay,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah,
a long
this for
way
me.
away?
Well, well, we've seen this planet in the prequels, and we know it's Darth Vader's, castle location. This for me is where it started taking a slight nosedive in some of the design. Now I know they can't go to a live volcanic set, but the scene we're about to get into in Darth Vader's throne room, I suppose you could call it, it looked horribly CGI and really bad CGI. It reminded me of an old Lost Chord. I'm sure is far too young for this, but Brownie, you may be of a generation. Do you remember the old TV film Nightmare, where children had to navigate through a computer-generated castle? It reminded me of that. Honestly, it was that bad. It really took me out of it. Actually, it was pretty dire.
So the graphics were probably produced on a BBC computer from back in the day. Okay.
Yes.
I will not make the obligatory comment about Disney locking children in dark castles.
Here we go. What the?
Okay, so
hold on.
I
This looks
suppose-
like it's a video game.
It does, doesn't it? I think they have just used Unreal Engine for this, and not even the
Yes.
updated version.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the old
bad.
one.
is this the moment where we all become racists?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Well, we're about to criticize a Disney Star Wars show, so of course we must be racist.
Yeah.
Andy Mouse in the chat again, spot on. All the ingredients, but shite recipe.
Just not put together properly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost impressive how they failed with such riches of
You've not seen the next
fantastic
slide.
characters and actors, and it's actually
I've been watching you.
achievement.
Most impressive.
God, he didn't say that, did he?
Yeah, I've been watching you there just to prove yourself, and the title
Swappers,
of
you
Grand
should have watched
Inquisitor
it,
is
mate.
yours.
Swappers, you really need to. You watch the first episode. You really do need to watch the series, mate.
I don't know whether he should.
You need to. You know you do. You know you want to.
He's having a nice time in Wales, Brownie. He doesn't need it ruined.
He can do it when he gets back home.
This
So
looks
here we
like
go.
This looks like it's from one of the opening levels of the Doom video game in the 90s.
There she is, my favorite badass Reva.
I can just feel the racism welling up.
Yeah, terrible. It's irresistible racism, basically. I mean, that's all we are. But like, even in this scene, they've reintroduced Darth Vader, and the first thing he does is effectively get duped by Space Moses here, because she blames Obi-Wan for the death of the Grand Inquisitor, and Vader just accepts this. But it's not conventionally the way you kick off with like trying to big a villain up. Is you don't tend to have them be duped in their first scene. There are ways of explaining it, like he's obviously much more focused on finding Obi-Wan. He doesn't care about the details. He doesn't care really about the fate of the Grand Inquisitor. It's a little bit mob boss as an intro for him, and sort of falls a bit flat, I thought, anyway.
He remembers Nightmare. He did look like an Elkie. There was what made me laugh about it was there was one of the creatures that the players had to encounter, and it was one of those wall monsters. It was like the wall sort of transmogrified.
Yes.
It has a face on it, and his name was Granite Ass.
I remember, yes.
Yeah.
Granite
actually,
Ass.
Granite Ass. Yeah, I think it was spelled GRANITEAS, but it was like pronounced arse at the end of it, and I just, oh my god, I can't believe that they let that go. But yeah, anyway.
I'll just say, I
anyway.
don't know if we said this last week, that Reva is an anagram of Evar.
It is, yeah.
Nobody spotted that.
And Vera.
I think the bestest ever is better though, isn't it? So
bestest ever.
So as a computer graphic game, looks good, yeah.
Oh, this is straight out of Jedi Knight, isn't it? In about 1997 or whatever.
It's bad. Vader wanders over just to stare out at the volcanic landscape, but I'm looking at the throne, I'm looking at the room, I'm looking at there's some weird pixelation. This isn't on the screenshot, it was on the live image. a weird pixelation between the landscape and the room, and I'm just, you know,
it's texture,
like I say,
isn't it? I think there's something dodgy about the texture. It's really sort of monochromatic. There's no variation.
2D.
The light does not fall naturally. So you see on the top steps, there's a slight, is that glow from outside, but it's bizarrely blocky, and then it doesn't fall anywhere else. And the rest of the textures are just matte and flat. And it's like, you could actually expect to see this in an early Jedi Knight game. I kind of want a polygonic Kyle Katarn to come out and
word of the night.
Start shooting people. I don't even know if that is a word. I'm basically high on Lemsip. I could have just made that up, but
it is. It's like one of the cutscenes from the Jedi Knight game in the 90s, because they'd film the actors and then put them on green screen, and the backgrounds would be like sort of low res CD, and obviously you could tell that they were humans acting with nothing behind them, and they just slot the graphics in later. It looks exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's on the transport and there's Leia in the background.
Yeah, apart from the slight lapse in the quality of the CGI in the previous scene, this bit I almost enjoyed. I have to say, it was there was a little bit of something there. I mean, I've had my reservations about the young Leia actress. I think they somehow found the slowest running child actress to exist on the planet, and that shows every time she runs and is being chased. But she did okay here, and obviously Ewan's always great. And yeah, we got a little bit of depth here, for God's sake, and it was
I quite like
there was a glimmer of something,
That's what you should be. I mean, I think they've actually toned her character down a little bit in this episode as well, so she's not quite so know-it-all as she was in the last ones. But you've got the ideal, if you're writing a character of her age, is that you use her as an excuse for not quite kind of exposition. Children are really useful as a way of providing the audience's eyes onto the world, because it's forgivable for them to ask questions. And they missed the trick entirely by having her know everything in episode 1, particularly, but also episode 2. By toning her down, they've opened up the opportunity to have her ask more questions about what the Force feels like, which I think she does in this scene, or one of the later scenes anyway. They just don't make as much use of it as they should. I mean, that's really if there is one good thing narratively for having children in a story for, that is the reason. And they haven't really made use of her at all. They try to portray her as the fully grown Leia in a 10-year-old's body, and that's just lazy.
Children is the Disney way, though, isn't it? Moving on.
Jacob Ironside, I just want to pull you up, sir. Racist towards ducks, Jacob. We won't have it on this channel. So I want you to retract that comment. Thank you, man, baby.
Jacob would talk like that. You will get your wrench revoked, mate. Okay, so
is that saying that all women run like ducks? By saying
it's sexist as well. It's racist.
Well, I'm more worried about the offence caused to ducks right now.
Yeah.
But,
Obi has fixed Dead Mouse.
Yep.
Lola.
Yeah.
Daft Punk's still better. But yep.
It's cute, wasn't it? I mean, we all knew it was coming, but it was cute. That's fine.
So CGI ship that looked a bit poop, especially when it was landing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a transport ship. Who was it in the chat who said they liked the ship design? This is not a bad view of it from here. And I'm interested to know what everyone made of the loader. This loader character, he features quite a bit. Different type of droid, although did have a strongly felt like a man in a suit. I know they all are, but this really did just feel like a guy in a suit. But I don't know, there was something. I like the trope that he can't speak, but he can still communicate in some way. I thought they were going to do something with him, but
no, if he could speak, it'd probably be a woman's voice, wouldn't it?
Okay, so the transporter's landed with the loader there, and they're looking out. Something's I think was it they're just looking out to see if anybody was around, and
just sneaking
it's only
off
when
the ship.
It's only when they started walking, wasn't it?
I like this bit. So Obi-Wan says that this used to be a peaceful place with farms and villages until the Empire came and ravaged it all. Does it look particularly ravaged there? I mean, it's nice green, there's hills, it's distinctly undespoiled, and they just have a couple of stormtroopers with random flags in the middle of nothing. What are they there for? What are they doing?
Yeah, the location managers just all we need here is just a couple of Imperial flags. That will do it for the audience.
God, it's ravaged.
Doesn't
the
need
whole
to
thing.
mean anything.
Yeah.
This used to be lovely, now it's wrecked. Look, there's a
What did
flag.
they do? Exterminate all the groundhogs or something?
I don't know, because there's still people around. They just live in towns like sensible folk.
This
So
looks like exactly the same area that they filmed in The Mandalorian when Boba Fett's trying to attack.
This looks like California. This does.
Yeah, it's exactly the same area. I'm sure of it.
Oh, here
And
we
then
go.
Too many places like this, and they're just boring, like Earth-like planets. And it's just I've seen this before.
that's supposed to be Aiden Christine then in the distance, isn't it? Is it an hallucination?
Yes, it is. Just before Swappers gets excited, just an hallucination. This one. Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe naively they were going to play it out a little bit. I thought I didn't think we get the full on Vader and Obi-Wan in the second half of this this episode, but I like the kind of tease of just a vision, you know, a glimpse, and yeah, I was hopeful at this point, but
okay, so we're going to looks like a green water planet.
So I think, I mean, Disney doesn't care enough about canon for this to be true. This is supposed to be Fortress Inquisitoris, isn't it? And the moon is called, is it Voom or something like that?
Vavavoom?
Vavavoom, yeah. And
Thierry Henry live there?
Well, that's not only an incredibly niche advert reference, but a dated niche advert reference. That's not been on TV
this
since
stream
like
is
early
sponsored
2000s.
by Renault, by the way, folks. I had to get that in. It was under my contract. Everybody, please check out the latest from Renault, the electric Megane. Beautiful car. So moving on.
Many a Megane in my time.
I see that Volkswagen have been associated with all this Disney stuff, haven't they? Did you see that?
Yeah.
They were sponsoring all this shit.
They have. Well, that's where the little robot came from, wasn't it? Well, that was where it first appeared before the show aired, I think.
If that's the case, then all these spaceships have a much higher emissions rating than the advertised one.
This is where we needed Z to go. I remember TIE Fighters. Because there's TIE fighters there. Can you see them?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, we get it. You might have it, or maybe not. But there's another shot where you see them. As we go in closer. Yeah. There's Reva with the braided mohawk.
Very, very important to have braids, apparently.
Yeah, she has to show her racial heritage. Yes.
The other observation on Reva, and I don't want to get fixated with it too long in case I get arrested and carted off to the gulag, but she, for an Imperial, she's very Jenny from the Bronx, isn't she?
I noticed that, yeah.
She's very free and easy with her own accent rather than everyone else, the Imperial kind of officers, commanders, so on, are all the straight down the line English accent, neutral accent, but they've given her full reign to flex her own accent in this role.
Oh yeah. It's like that'd be like asking her to whiteface, wouldn't it? Like asking her to speak with a colonial accent.
I think we just about made it through last week's stream, but I think this is the last stream for a while, folks. After comments like that.
Oh God, we're in trouble.
So again, all this looks great. The kind of color. The kind of deep greens and the reds and the sets look the virtual sets look great.
Yeah, small bit of trivia just on the previous slide. Sorry, Brownie, to drag you back, but the little the red detail there is taken from the Death Star. We see designs in that style on the Death Star. So
I remember
they make an effort. they're making an effort to, in some of these shots to call back and keep the consistency. Another note, I mean, we see a stormtrooper here, but I quite like the desert planet-based stormtroopers, the kind of weathered,
Grubby look,
beaten,
yeah.
grubby looking. I like that. I appreciated that. So,
Yeah.
trying my best here, Brownie. I'm trying to pull some positives out.
I think we all are, mate. See, that's fantastic. That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, beautiful.
It was sort of undermined though by the soundtrack that they have in this clip, because she doesn't really. Well, no, she doesn't have a theme, and the composer they've got in, who I noted because I had to look it up, that they were sort of championing it in the film music world, because this is the first female person, presumably anyway, they're not biologists, but as far as we know, this is the first woman to head a soundtrack on a Star Wars project. And it's not good that the soundtrack is either non-existent, or in this scene, when it is existent, it's bad. All we get is this irritatingly, incessantly rising thing with lots and lots of drums going on. What you really want to do is to give, because you're trying to elevate Reva as a character and to make her recognizable, you need to give her some kind of theme. That's what Star Wars has always been known for, and John Williams is not the only person who can do that. All you need to do is try, really. You can't really fail to give a theme to someone, but they don't do it with her. She's just accompanied by this really loud soundscape of garbage. Basically, it just makes the scene fall flat. And every scene she's in where you see that, you just find it irritating, as opposed to, oh yeah, that's an appropriate musical cue, I know who's coming on to scene next.
Okay, so this is where Reva's going to speak to the wok head.
Well, he's been white-faced.
Well, it's because Asians are white adjacent, don't you know? That's why they
And she says something, and he's the wok Inquisitor's a bit pissed off, isn't he? So he kind of Jedi tackles her.
He implements the airplane force spell on her and forces her into the airplane position.
Jonathan says Moses chewing the scenery. Yeah.
That's your first strike, Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay, so I can't remember what they were saying here.
Well, they only have one conversation, which is, I'm going to be Vader's best pal. No, I'm going to be Vader's best pal.
No,
and that's basically what's going on. The time, by the way, that they've spent doing this, she's flown from wherever she was before all the way here and walked on a long scene, basically to say, I know where Obi-Wan is, fire off the probe droids. She could have sent that in a message, and if they'd done that immediately, because hyperspace is instant in this show, they could have prepped the planet because she knows to where he's going, and just had stormtroopers waiting at the place where the freighter lands, and that's the end of the plot. But instead we have to get scenes like this because tension, don't you know?
I remember probe droids. Is that underwater then? It looks quite good.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
You go there in Fallen Order. That's where you first sort of encounter Vader there. And it's a semi-submerged fortress.
That's good. So here we go. I remember probe droids.
Yeah, and we get to see one in action shortly, which was nice.
Melvin Deeply. Who wants to touch me?
No offense, I'm just going to pass.
Melvin, I've already touched you before, and I know specifically the moment. It was when Rose Tico had that scene with Finn. I know you were deeply touched by that moment. So you're welcome, Melvin.
So here we go. I remember probe droids are out. They're over. They're going over the thingy, getting launched. Blah blah blah. Into space.
See, it's weird because they have this weird approach to canon. This is all canonical. So Fortress Inquisitorius in the old canon that they since retconned out of existence, all of this exists. Fortress Inquisitorius has the probe droids. They can fire the probe droids. Even the canisters that they put the probe droids in are the specific hyperspace equipped model built by the company that makes the probe droids. So they do care about this stuff, just really selectively. And you think if you just cared about it enough, for the story as well, we wouldn't now be sitting here slating your show.
So these probe droids can take off from a planet and then literally fly anywhere in the galaxy. Is that right?
Basically, yeah, and that's quite long established in the old expanded universe, because you see them when they're dropped from the Star Destroyer at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back. I think they're in the slightly different model of that casing, but the ones on Fortress Inquisitorius. If he were here, he'd probably tell me I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. They do have a hyperspace equipped probe droid sort of carrier. So what they're doing is they're firing them off to send them out to the mining system that Obi-Wan is on. It doesn't really work though, because hyperspace is supposed to take a long time. 9 years later, it takes longer to hyperspace from Tatooine to Alderaan than it does in this show to go from Fortress Inquisitorius to wherever they are now, and then for Vader to get from Mustafar to wherever they are now.
Okay, so we're saying the probe droids are actually faster than the Millennium Falcon in this.
Yeah, the fastest ship in the galaxy, but probe droids are faster, and also whatever ship Vader uses is faster, and also whatever ship Reva uses is also faster.
Vera.
I like Vera.
From now on.
Well, I mean, if we're using Last Jedi physics, then obviously the probes should all be faster because they're smaller.
Yep, that's how.
And they're magnetized, and that makes them go quicker as well.
Right, okay, so back on the planet, they've been walking, and they see this transport, and they're going to scrounge a lift. How shit does that look?
Yes, this is where it starts to take a decisive downturn. I mean, there are some nice, almost tense moments coming up with the stormtroopers, but the chap we're about to meet, I mean, yeah, this ship looks god awful. Yeah, this guy was just CGI-tastic, and
it's just a mole. There's no.
Yeah. It's like out the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then he spoke, and I nearly spat my goddamn gin and tonic out. It was ridiculous.
5 minutes ago, I was in the Wind of the Willows, and now
you just wandered onto this set. What's going on?
Where's Razzie gone?
Are they just picking like random animals and just anthropomorphizing them?
That's character design, don't you know? That's how they do things.
Which was the one where they literally just put a monkey in? Which I can't even remember. Was it Rise of Skywalker?
No, it was.
Oh, Brownie, don't do that to me.
No, it was a chimpanzee just shoved in there for no reason.
They literally just put it. They didn't change it at all. They didn't do anything with it. They didn't put a helmet on it. They just put a chimp in.
Chimp in?
Yeah, chimp. And there was a velociraptor in the last episode as well.
So Ewan McGregor study think, what the fuck have I got myself involved in? This is ridiculous.
No, I think he's fully complicit in this now, isn't he?
He's like producer or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I felt a little bit sorry for him, and the mega geek told me off. But I think he's no different than Auntie Kathy, is he really?
Yeah, I was thinking this earlier when I was out running. I was listening to Doomcock on my headphones in his latest review of this episode, and he was saying, "Oh, it's good to see Ewan McGregor." I was like, "No, the guy's complicit in it." I don't know about Hayden Christensen, but this guy totally wants this character to be destroyed along with Kathleen Kennedy. I guess money just talks, doesn't it? So she just said, "Here's a bit Roger Cash. Do what you're told," and he went, "Oh, okay, Kathy."
Okay. I would just say to the chat, question for you. Do you think Ewan McGregor is fully complicit in the destruction of Obi-Wan? Because I think we think he is. We do, don't we?
Yeah, it's not like a Mark Hamill situation, is it? Where Mark Hamill was quite outspoken at times in his disagreement with Rian Johnson, but in his role in this, like you say, he has an executive producer role, so he has an element of creative input and control.
Andy says no.
I know. Look,
Sheev says yes.
Oh, Sheev.
Hello, Sheev Burger.
Hello, Sheev.
New face. Hello, sir.
John Frost said an interesting.
Matt I, or is it Matt 1? Absolutely.
He said they made a miner a literal mole. That's really racist against moles, isn't it? You know, very, very stereotypical of them. If any are watching this show, they must be really offended, I should say.
We should be glad though. Like, if the Rise of Skywalker had come out today, and then the line "they have a mole in the First Order" would have made it would have meant something very different.
Yes.
I do like the actress who plays. She's toned it down from last week.
Yeah, and when it's a child, I mean, you're wholly relying on the director, aren't you, to to guide them through it. But yeah, she was much better in this episode. You're right.
So he was getting a lift, and then obviously on the back, the flag.
How many goddamn times are we going to see Ewan McGregor on the back of a lorry or transport or whatever? It feels like he spent half of this damn show sat on the back of a transport vehicle. It's, oh, God. Here we go.
How exciting this is.
This goes on for a good 10 minutes, Matt.
Where do they come from?
And it's literally, I mean, everything is wrong with this shot. In the first place, they've walked from nowhere, so that's something. The second place, the preceding shot, Mole Man says how much he really likes the Empire because it brought order. And then the very next shot, stormtroopers turn up because the Empire can't move its own troops around his planet. So that's not very orderly at all. Like fascists who can't make trains run on time are not very good fascists. And then the only reason this scene exists is just to have a bit of manufactured tension and then a prequel callback as he goes on to mention Amidala. He looks, Obi-Wan just becomes an idiot again because they need to manufacture tension. Mole Man doesn't turn them in at this point, but we learn later that his entire point was to turn them in. Why does he not do that here? This is 10 minutes, which is wasted. It goes back to what we were saying earlier about how much of this show is just filler content and how it's just paced entirely wrong. Everything about this shot does not need to exist. It accomplishes absolutely nothing. It just sort of reveals the nonsense of the writers, really.
Sheeveburger, why would Kenobi shut himself off from the Force? Yoda told him he has further training for him to do, and he'll eventually learn to commune with Qui-Gon.
It's just so not the character, from what I understand.
And also, if he's shut himself up in the Force, why is he still trying to commune with Qui-Gon at the beginning of every episode? I mean, he's still praying to him.
Why would you shut yourself off in the Force? Go bury your weapons, the very things that can help you with your job, which is protecting the twins.
And then refuse to go and save Leia because you need to stay and protect Luke with those weapons that you don't have and the Force that you've given up.
He killed Maul in 2 moves.
We did miss a golden opportunity, though, just prior to this, where Obi and Leia meet Mole Man. I'm just referring to my notes here, Brownie. And it's Leia who goes up and first engages Mole Man, and then she turns to Obi-Wan and says, aren't you going to introduce yourself? And Obi-Wan, and Mole Man says, hello. And Obi-Wan, I thought, this is it. He's going to do it. He's going to say hello there. And he just says, hello. And that's it.
God,
and I thought, for fuck's sake, you couldn't even give us hello there. For fuck's sake.
Here's the stormtroopers jumping on the back of the lorry. Of course, they're not going to recognize Obi-Wan because he shaved. Oh, wait, no, he didn't.
I remember stormtroopers.
He didn't shave, and he's dressed as a Jedi.
Yeah.
And they ask him if he's seen any Jedi around.
Have you seen anyone dressed as a Jedi?
Obi-Wan says, I wouldn't know one if I saw one. Just,
No, what do they look like? Good God.
So, Ruin, you really appreciated the kind of grubby, greasy, lived-in look.
Yes, I do. I loved the stormtroopers from A New Hope and the Tatooine scenes where they've got the kind of windswept, sand-damaged attire, and again they've gone for that, and I like that, and I always appreciate when I see cosplayers doing the same. I like that contrast between the shiny Death Star stormtroopers and the more weathered field-based stormtroopers. So I did appreciate that, and there's another one I've made a note on this particular scene where they're engaging here, and basically the stormtrooper asks Obi-Wan, what are you doing out here? And I got onto the edge of my chair because Obi-Wan said, oh, that's a long story. And I thought he was going to say for another time, but he didn't quite go there. But he did say, oh, that's a long story. And I thought, oh, God, I would have loved to hear that line one more time.
And then the stormtroopers reply, it's a long trip, and get off 30 seconds later.
Yes.
Is this the moment where
Obi-Wan is an idiot to make tension happen? Yes. Because Leia says, how do you know he's even on a Jedi's even on the planet? And Obi-Wan, who has been calling her Luma up until this point, and says, they know what they're doing, Leia. And then she does her sort of, just what? Really? which is the audience's reaction, to be fair. So I guess she's just channeling me. But
yeah, but again, it's the woman showing the man up to be stupid, isn't it? Let's face it.
Mr. Berger in the chat. How did they not know who he was?
Yeah, I mean that's the really good. He's one of the most famous Jedi in the galaxy, a Republic war hero who hasn't bothered to change his appearance. How does no one like? Why is his face not plastered on every building in every city?
Yeah, he is pretty much the Empire's priority at the moment, isn't he? Was it established? I don't know if anyone really cares, or if it was even said in the first episode how they knew that Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. Was it ever mentioned?
That's a good point.
I don't think they did. They're there to trace a different Jedi, and
yes.
Vera gets irritated because she wants to go and search for Obi-Wan. So I don't think they do know he's on Tatooine. I think they're just after the other Jedi.
Okay.
Good point, Jacob. Yeah, there's 2 female stormtroopers.
Well, we never got to fully check how they identify, so let's not make assumptions, please.
Yeah, okay, especially this month. Okay.
Maybe the microphones in their helmets just set on the female setting by accident.
So, like when you sat nav, you can choose between male and female voice.
Yeah,
just changed it for the day. Yes.
Okay, so they fuck off.
What did they? Are they going to go about like 100 meters or something?
Yeah, they literally travel for 30 seconds and then they've got off again in the middle of nowhere with no obvious kind of base or anything going on, just another random flag.
The Mole was even on first name terms with some of them.
Yeah, but he doesn't turn them into those ones. He turns them into the other ones later because reasons. But the reason for that is just to have effectively the tension before and then this dialogue scene, because Leia reasons or deduces that Obi-Wan actually did know her real mother, so that it's an opportunity for them to have that conversation, and Obi-Wan to give some of his own backstory about his own memories. When he's growing up, he vaguely recalls a brother that he may or may not have had, Obi-2, I assume, and then and his mother as well. And then they turn up here, and this is when Moorman decides that he wants to turn them in. So.
Just to cycle back, Lost Jaw, because that conversation, there was an unbelievable line, frankly, from Obi-Wan where he said, and I shit you not, Swappers, he turned to Leia and said, "I wish I was your real father."
Oh God,
he does.
You're joking.
No, he really did. I had to pause and rewind the goddamn thing. I said, "Did he really say that?" He bloody well did.
See, they didn't spot that on Nerdrotic, did they?
Well, that's the kind of analysis you get on the Brown Alliance channel, man, babies.
Okay, so I will say, agreed, Andy. Yes, there was a bit of a nice little moment.
Yes, that was cool.
It's very strange because this is Disney, and they don't like kind of violent stuff, but every now and again you get the odd little bit. And if they really turned it up to about 10, it could be quite good, couldn't it? But anyway.
Yeah, we'll never see an 18 rated Star Wars, but it would be fascinating to see what it would look like.
The Book of Boba Fett was the one to do that in. And instead we just got an old man toddling around.
Easy.
Well, I mean, Power Rangers appeal to the over 18 crowd now, don't they? It's about that time, decades later. So I guess you could say it's adult themed in that respect.
This is a program just aimed at people who don't want to watch it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're just aiming at the wrong audience. It's like we'll go back to the BBC. We say this every time. The BBC is in trouble because the people who want to watch it are people of my age, Matthew's age, my father's age, who have watched TV all their life. And that's what they do. They watch TV. But they're just aiming programs like this for an audience who really don't want to watch it because they're busy fucking about on their iPhones or just watching YouTube.
Those young people with their iPhones.
Is that a reasonable statement, guys?
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Everyone
Yes.
goes at once.
Yes,
wasn't a
Brown.
trick
Next
question.
question. Next question.
No, it absolutely is, and you see this all the time. The BBC.
It's not me, is it?
Every round of budget cuts, the BBC will first look to shaft pensioners, which is unusual given that they employed Jimmy Savile, but they have to shaft all age groups.
Easy.
They try to shaft pensioners with the license fee, and then they try to cut Radio 4 and BBC 4, which are the only two sort of things the BBC does, which resemble what it used to do, and the only two things which have sort of a core audience that's reliable. And then they reintroduce BBC 3 in an attempt to compete with Twitch, Netflix, YouTube, and all the things that the youth of the day will much rather spend their time on, largely because a lot of them are free, but also because it's about consumer choice in that regard. The BBC ought really to be doubling down on the audience, its core. All these Star Wars is exactly the same. This attempt to appeal to everyone, and especially the writers or the director's conception of what the youth want, is wrong-headed. Like the reason Star Wars today is as commonly remembered by everyone as it was when it came out is because it was not written to appeal solely to a specific generation at the time it was written in. George Lucas wrote a timeless story in Star Wars, and the BBC used to have timeless values. All things which are time sensitive go out of date very, very quickly, and it's a nonsense to try and appeal to sort of this mythical new fan when there was no need to do that back when the IP was created in the first place. It just doesn't work. This is why all of these attempts fail. But,
I would say hello, Timmy. Melvin, I don't watch normal TV. I think, Melvin, because it's not aimed at you and I anymore.
No, it's not.
I think that's the problem, mate.
Yeah, it's just bizarre now, isn't it? Crap TV. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just not aimed at us anymore. Okay. I will say hello, Timmy. Timmy, do you want to come on the next one of these?
Yeah,
next week, mate. Timmy, next one. Come on the next one, mate. Next week. Right. Okay. So, okay. So, this is where the Hans Molman gives him up, doesn't he? And
he's looking less like a Jedi. He's got a hood up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
he literally says, "Step out of the vehicle." And it's just, Star Wars cop show, yay! I've always wanted to see one of these. It's like the rebel traffic cops in Mandalorian. You just turn up in X-wings and say cliche cop things.
That reminds me, Lost Chord. Have you seen it must be about like 10, 20 years old now. The troops or troopers fan-made video that's on YouTube, like God knows how long ago.
Yes, I remember that, and I thought, yes, agreed.
Made to look like the early 2000 show Cops. It's really good. If you need to check that one out if you haven't seen it, that's probably where they got the inspiration for this from.
Yeah, just like kind of like a fan film of stormtroopers talking to each other, like, what did you watch on TV last night? I watched, blah, 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 kind of that.
It's very good, especially the scene where they have to address a domestic disturbance with Owen and Beru.
Okay, so I remember probe droids.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's not CG.
Swappers, do you remember probe droids?
I remember.
I remember probe droids. Look at that.
Looks like they actually built one.
This part was good.
I mean, I hear someone groaning. Is it Lost Chord there? But the problem I have with this, the setup, okay. The problem I've got with it is, if you're going to make the decision to shoot the probe droid down, do it before it scans your goddamn face.
Yeah.
Don't wait until it's scanned your face. Therefore, as we're going to see in the rest of this episode, giving away your location, and then shoot it immediately afterwards. So that was the obvious flaw in this, the writing
what
of this
is he thinking here? Is he thinking, oh no, it won't recognize me, I'll just let it scan me? It's like that god-awful scene from Mandalorian, isn't it? When he walks into that face scanning machine, he takes off his helmet and then lets it scan his face, and it won't recognize his face. Nobody has ever seen his face. Why the hell?
Before he does that, he tries to make it scan his helmet, which is just all kinds of dumb.
His helmet. Oh, wow.
This honestly, the Star Wars is just appealing to the lowest common denominator now. It really is.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I recall from Empire Strikes Back, don't they explode upon
They should.
Oh yes,
being
they do.
shot?
Yes, correct.
They do have a self-destruct thing. I guess the only sort of mechanical explanation is that because in Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo, he says himself, he clips it. He doesn't actually shoot straight through it, and that gives it time to activate self-destruct. Whereas here, Obi-Wan is shooting through its face. So my only mechanical explanation would be that he actually destroys it, whereas Han Solo didn't. My problem, well, there were a couple of problems with this scene, and then one coming up. But the ones with this scene, so he's refused to use his lightsaber for the entirety of this, and I understand why in the context of earlier episodes, because he's, despite being dressed as a Jedi, he's supposed to be trying to stay undercover, and refusing to use it. In this scene, once the probe droid is down, or even when it's there, he's been scanned. He knows that everyone now knows that he's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's where he is. So there's no reason not to use it to stay in cover. The second problem is that, like with the fight scene in episode 2, in this scene, he's incredibly mobile, he's incredibly nimble. He, takes the stormtroopers out with a combination of gunplay and judo, basically. But when he comes to the the supposedly epic fight scene later on, he can barely stand up. And it's just, have some consistency. Are you a hyper-skilled, hyper-nimble, very well-coordinated fighter, as you've been in the last 2 episodes? Or are you just a decrepit wreck who falls over when someone pushes you? Make a decision. And this show can't make a decision because it just needs to do these things to manufacture whatever stakes happen to exist in any scene. But there is the first problem being that there is no real reason for him not to use his lightsaber in this scene. And he doesn't. So there is also one later when they get captured and he still has his hand on his gun. The stormtroopers force him down. They don't disarm him. His finger is literally still on the trigger. He could have shot the female stormtrooper who captures him in the kneecap and just doesn't because he has to be saved. So
female.
Yeah.
I mean, the other excellent analysis, Lost Jordan. The other point on this scene, just if you just skip back, Brownie. Sorry to rewind you, old boy, but the stormtroopers here, so they have the guns pointing at Obi-Wan.
I was going to say this. Yeah.
And Obi-Wan shoots the probe droid first. At which point the stormtroopers should open fire. But of course they don't. Obi-Wan is still able to. They hesitate. They pause. Both of them. They do nothing, and Obi-Wan finishes them off.
Unless if he's doing a Jedi mind trick to stop them firing.
Well, I thought he'd rejected the Force. Who knows?
Well, if he's going to use the Force, then he might as well just use his lightsaber as well, because he's not fooling anyone at this point, is he?
Jacob's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet, and I don't blame him. Why couldn't he have just used his lightsaber?
Visually, it would have been a moment as well, wouldn't it? Draw the saber and chop up the probe droid, decapitate a couple of stormtroopers, kick their heads around on the ground. It would have been fun.
Kathleen Kennedy logic.
It goes so far beyond where it needs to go. So, like, I've defended. I mean, a number of people have been critical of his depiction as this completely defeated man, and I don't tend to go along with those criticisms just because they literally cannot leave him as a defeated man because we know where he's going to. I think it is necessary to bring him to reduce him back down to a level where he actually has a character to build up again. He has just seen his entire world collapse. Everyone he loved is dead. That all makes sense from a narrative and a directing and a writing point of view. Having him swear off the Force and not use his lightsaber ever makes no sense at all. That just goes about 5 steps too far. There's no reason for him not to use it in this scene. And it would have been more impactful if he had, because he's supposed to be a Jedi on the run, not someone who has sworn off the Jedi. And there was no need to have that. But hey, at least someone gets cut in half, so we still get to see something.
Timmy in the chat, Obi-Wan is too broken. Too cut off from the Force. I think that's why he's not using his lightsaber.
Yeah, but then the problem is a lack of subtlety, because you can convey how broken he is without just overdoing it. I'm in favor of him being a broken man. I think that's a good idea because you need to give him a character arc for the series to be interesting. But they're just not doing it subtlety at all. It's so in your face in every single scene. He's an idiot. He's a coward. He's a hypocrite. And it's just, you don't need to go that far to achieve the same effects.
Is he a racist?
He hasn't fought Vera yet, so no.
Okay, right. Okay, so this was a highlight where the stormtrooper gets cut in half. I did like that.
Yes, the stormtrooper who plays this will be doing the conventions for the next 20 years.
Well, at least he
signing
can
this
do.
still.
He can do 2 conventions at once, though, can't he?
Indeed.
So that's profit maximization. So that's excellent work.
So the extras' legs are going to appear at this convention, while his upper half is going to appear at this.
Well, if we all meme him enough, he'll get his own series. So maybe we should just do that.
Stormtrooper, the disabled years.
I knew these child grabbing classes would come in handy.
He'll come back with robot legs, I'm sure of it.
Yes. No one's ever really gone.
And one robot forearm for some reason. Think about it. Okay.
What did happen to old Moley in this scene? Because we saw just a few. No need to go back, Brown. God's sake, I've endured this enough. But
no,
yeah, I had him hostage almost for a moment, and then
I think I recall Obi-Wan twatting him in the face, and he falls over. I think he's unconscious.
Oh, he just kind of knocked him out.
This took me about 12 attempts to get this.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's somehow your stills are better than the real thing, Brown. I have to say.
Yeah, probably took longer.
It took more care and attention.
Right, okay, so for some reason...
Oh, God.
Is it just walking around the laser gates?
They have the shot later on. Like, the next scene is the aerial shot where you show that he can walk around it.
Oh, God.
There's no... I hope you've got that clip, because it's just stupid. He spent about 15 seconds doing this. He could have just walked around it, but because he wastes time being an idiot and not cutting a gate in half, then he gives time for the rescuer to turn up. So I guess, plot needs it to happen.
Maybe the target audience that this is aimed for wouldn't spot it because they're too busy with their eyes going up and down from their iPhones while they're watching this.
Or just sitting there sort of clapping like seals, saying, I like the bit where he shot the stormtrooper.
Flashing lights.
I like the laser guns.
I like the stormtrooper cut in half there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's nice.
Great.
Sheafberger's some great comments there, Brownie, as well. But
do you want to read them? Go on.
I most certainly will. And Time
put them on
also makes
screen
a good
as well
point.
if you want.
Yes, let's do it.
Go on then.
Chat's on fire.
You were doing it all last week.
Let's do it. Sheev, here we go. The one scene where he sees Anakin in his robes in the mountains in the beginning was like PTSD. I would have taken that kind of stuff with flashbacks to him and Anakin redoing some classic Clone Wars. And honestly, that makes more sense, and that can be more, impactful and visual. And I was, well, I don't know.
I think Mr. Berger should be writing this, don't you?
Yeah, Mr. Berger's bob on, as are most fans. Just Disney, I've got a fucking clue what they're doing. And also Time Prophet, another great point, another logic fail, which Disney seems to have a habit of doing. Why did he leave the yellow vehicle behind? They go walking off.
He did? Well, I thought that was the whole reason he was destroying the gate.
No.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay,
dear.
so let's move on. There you go.
God.
Oh dear.
Why did he just walk around the fucking gate?
Who the hell is writing this crap?
It's such an easy fix. Just don't have this shot. There is no need for this shot to be there. All it does is reveal how silly the last one was. Just don't have it. Refilm it. Or just cut it. There's no need for it to be there.
Great job on the editing, Disney. You can't even keep consistency from shot to shot, for fuck's sake.
Chord, do you want to read Mr. Deeply's comment? That's a no then. Okay, so Melvin Deeply in the chat. The other stormtroopers show up and walk off their Toyota Hilux with their guns pointing off to the side. Obi could have gunned them down in half a second. but he surrendered instead. A clever ploy. CGI, dodgy CGI. Yeah.
This is.
They will know at this point that he's Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
Yeah, so at least the Jedi, they do, and I know, Matt, if you're watching this scene, you'd lose your shit because basically he's about to get down and kiss the sand. He could not be more subservient, and it's of course to a female stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Doomcock picked up on this bit, saying this is the deconstruction of Obi, isn't it? He wasn't happy with this.
Oh, you're a woman. Okay, then I'll kiss
nice,
your boots.
She's nice though.
They're from Game of Thrones, isn't it? That's a whammon of color, everybody.
Yeah, and she was
You
a highlight
see that?
for me.
I don't.
She was a highlight for me in this.
Looking great.
We're going to get the old as we're about to see. She's in disguise, so we're playing the old disguise trope, which is well used in Star Wars. And I thought she was good. She was a good
She
character.
can act as well. That's
she
a
can
plus.
act. She's very believable, very natural. I enjoyed it. I don't know if anyone else picked up on this. Interested to know in the chat or the my
Tim
fellow
likes her.
panelists. Was there Andy Mouse? We enjoyed. Thanks for your contributions, Andy.
This is definitely the last stream, folks, and it's all Andy's fault. Cheers, Andy. You fucked that up, mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Was anyone getting a romantic hint between her and Obi-Wan? Is that just me reading into it? Or was that intentional? I don't know. Anyone?
Well, he's a desperate old man, and she has 2 legs and a vagina.
Easy.
Oh God, it's really descended now, hasn't it?
She's lovely.
But
so this is
it's an irrational thing to get really hung up on, but he still has his gun in this entire scene. These stormtroopers are incompetent. Like, the first thing you do is you disarm the guy. He has his finger on the trigger the entire time he's doing this. But no, he can't be the one. Look, there he is. He's actually pointing the gun at them.
Even pointing it. Oh
yeah.
Like, the first thing you do when you get someone to surrender is tell them to get rid of the fucking weapon. You don't allow them to go down pointing the weapon at you. I mean,
put it on the ground.
Oh God.
Your number one fan, Ruin. What does this mean?
Well, he's implying that I'm shipping, which is Scottish for well, let's just say happy LGBT month, Brian.
Yeah, the worst month of the year. Okay.
Hang on, we've not had BLM month yet, Brian.
There must be a shipping community for this era Obi-Wan and like this era Anakin, and I'm trying to think what they'd call it, like crisp shipping or burn shipping, bacon shipping,
fire shipping,
sand shipping. I don't know, one of those.
Carpet burn shipping.
She can point her laser gun at me anytime.
She has a laser gun. So it's trans rights. Good-o.
In your world, maybe.
If you're shipping people, then it doesn't that mean that you amalgamate 2 people's names together?
Yes, that's the one.
It's impossible. Is she force sensitive? A later scene in the Tunnel of Love, she looks back like she senses Obi is in danger. Yes.
Yeah, good spot.
Yeah, well done, maybe. Tim. Well done.
Tim Sober, well done, Tim.
With trivia like that, he might get an invite to come on.
Wow.
So she walks up and we all think that's it for Obi, and then blast.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I say, it's not new, but it's like Bond, isn't it? I know you're a big Bond fan, Brownie. You go see a Bond film and you expect a few things. You expect a car chase. You expect maybe a casino scene. You expect the old shaken not stirred. Yeah, you expect certain things, and almost Star Wars, it has become a trope. The old someone's going to disguise in the the Empire uniform. So it played out okay. She's a great actress. I really liked her role in this. There's another positive. Tally that one up.
Incredibly convenient that she happens to be parked 10 seconds away on a random road in order to turn up to save them.
Time Prophet, Indira Varma was also in Luther. Yes, it was his ex-wife. Yes. As I said at the very beginning. Great actress.
Brown, could you read out Brian's message in the chat?
Well, I think Andy Mouse should probably do that as well.
I haven't got any. I haven't got any. They dropped off years ago.
Is that what happens when you get old?
They drop off.
It is just you wait while you get to 40.
Well, it normally happens if you sign up to work for Disney Kennedy film, doesn't it? But,
surgically removed and cryogenically stored.
Yeah. Andy Mouse, TNA. Nothing wrong with that, my friend.
Saying we couldn't see the Stormtroopers. TNA.
She rocks the Imperial officer outfit, doesn't she?
Yeah, she looks great.
Oh, God, Brown.
Sorry.
Look at this. Look, it takes a woman to do a man's job.
As a toxic white male, I appreciate the female form.
What about the boots, Brown? Are you a fan of the boots?
Don't get him started.
Without the uniform, yes.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Okay, so this is where she says, we're going to get you off the planet, isn't it?
Yes.
But you've got to hide for a little bit.
Yes, having been parked conveniently 10 seconds away, in the 10 seconds it took her to get there to save them, whilst being surrounded by stormtroopers, she found time to arrange transport off-planet with a sympathetic pilot. So the setup makes absolutely no sense whatever, but this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
oh, God, Andy now. Jesus.
Andy, you naughty little boy.
Oh, God. I mean, this is how unentertaining Obi-Wan is. We descend into this level of real...
I think this is my channel
references. It's just
I think this is my channel ending. Not that
I didn't sign up for this, Brownie. What the hell have you got going on?
Okay, so
what Time Prophet says here as well. The Californian landscape really takes me out. You do expect to see someone in a Ford truck just driving in the other direction, don't you?
When if it was California, then all the stormtroopers would be wearing face masks outside.
On top of the helmets, yeah.
On top of the helmets.
Okay, so we go back to the Inquisitor's palace, whatever it is, I don't know. Again, looks fantastic. The computer graphics for the planet, brilliant.
There's an awful lot of women here for the Empire. What's going on?
Obviously, there's Wok Head on the right.
Darth Walkster, yeah.
Ken Walk.
As I said last week, I think I would have preferred the Inquisitor on the left.
Yeah. What to do?
Instead of being smashed about in our faces with the bestest ever one.
Yeah, well, I mean, why can't the character be an alien? Why can't she just be like? Why do we have to have humans all the time? You know, to be front and center. Why can't we have a bit of variety? Isn't that what diversity is all about?
I'm just trying to picture our old friend there playing General Walk or whatever he's called. Can you imagine he gets cast in the role? He's so excited. You're going to be an Imperial. You're going to be this Inquisitor. Oh, brilliant. Turns up. Yes, it's costume day today. And then they show him that. I mean, can you imagine the poor guys? Are you fucking serious? I've got to put that on.
You're going to be one of our first Asian stars. Yeah.
It's
what are you going to dress
me as?
Stir fry. Well, you know those Vietnamese fishing villages?
Yeah.
We thought maybe that would be a good idea.
I'm surprised
George liked his Vietnam references, but this is a little bit heavy-handed, isn't it? I mean,
a little bit on the nose. I'm surprised that I'm surprised Reva's not like walking around with a spear or something as well. You know, they're getting that kind of level.
It's not racist. They did it in Wakanda.
And Stargate.
And Stargate.
Guys, just enjoy the last half hour of the stream because it's going to be the last.
This is it. This is it, everyone.
Just enjoy it, boys.
We're in the end game.
Okay.
We're really baiting the SJWs now. It's Pride Month after all.
So we go back to. Well, no, sorry. We've gone to this place now that looks like the bog standard set, but it's somewhere else, isn't it?
Still in California, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one. If I may, Brown, I ask, but you know I'm going to.
Oh yeah.
This is the scene where I thought, fuck me, could they not? They're literally. This looks like the back or the side of a set where they think we don't really need to bother with this bit because you know it's just it's not going to see it on camera. Instead, they shoot a whole scene here. It's quite an important scene where Obi-Wan is engaging with this new rebel. And look at it; it's just two bits of plywood and nailed together. I thought,
yeah,
it is. It's literally it's made of MDF. I didn't know they still have that in.
That is a wooden beam at the end there. That is a wooden beam from what do you call it in the States, isn't it? Whatever their version of B&Q is. But just hammered up against
Home Depot or something.
That's it, Home Depot. Yeah, just hammered up against the side of that piece of set. It's like, oh my god, this must be behind the bit of set that got accidentally revealed in the Book of Boba Fett where they were doing that street chase. You see it at the bottom of the screen. The back of the set is all like plywood and bits of struts and stuff. They obviously didn't mean to show, but they still got made into the final cut.
It's not even joined together properly. No, despite my accent, I've done work on a building site, and I would be told off if I joined wood together in that slapdash manner.
And
you're an expert on wood, yes?
I am. I know my way around a plywood beam, definitely.
Just for those who've not seen it, and obviously Matt, this isn't a fleeting, we'll pause it for a second or two. This is a 2-minute scene here against 2 bits of plywood. It really is embarrassing.
The insult would be as if that was green screen as well, wouldn't it?
And that is literally the sewage tank from the porta potties they have on set. I'm mildly certain.
Someone's going to walk past in a minute with a tray of donuts and a coffee.
Full of Last Jedis in that tank.
Yeah.
So she's going to the...
This is a guy in jeans just off camera in a second who was caught in the last episode of The Mandalorian in the background.
Oh, jeans guy. I remember him.
Yeah.
So she's going to the safe house. She wants to talk to Lola for some reason.
Oh. Again, lovely plywood shot there.
I'll just say, Dead Mouse, you want to get a copyright in against that, mate.
Great work, director. More plywood in the background.
So what's she talking about here?
I'm so distracted by the set, I don't know.
Time Prophet says they are seriously underpaying the carpenters.
Yeah, it's less wooden than the acting, isn't it, I think?
I'd say they're probably overpaying them, but the quality of the work.
Yeah.
Also, it becomes relevant later. Just note the time of day and how it's daylight here, because in a few minutes it won't be.
Well, it's daylight at the moment. And then the Halo droid.
It's Master Chief.
Can't speak, can they?
Yeah, cute. I mean, she's trying to engage with them, and it's fine. It's fine. It's one of those. It's okay. You know what I mean? If everything else is going well, we're okay with this.
It's very Disney, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we have to give them it, I suppose.
When Disney do Disney well, they do it well, don't they?
Yeah, and you expect these moments where you've got a child actor in the film, and it's fine. I'm fine with it, but the problem is when those are the best things in the whole episode. That's when it's a problem.
That little droid obviously is stolen straight out of Batteries Not Included as well.
Yes, I was trying to remember where it looked familiar. Yeah, good shout.
Do they own that? Probably. They own everything, don't they?
Probably by now. Yeah.
Melvin has posted a link. This is why stormtroopers always miss.
He's trying to rickroll us. Don't fall for it, man, babies.
No, he's a moderator. That's why he does such things, because he cares about the
Oh.
channel.
Wow. If only Disney cared so much.
Yeah. So is this where she's saying you just need to hang tight? A ship is coming.
Yeah, good scene, and I say good scene because it had some substance and it had some good acting. I mean, Ewan's a good actor. She's a good actress. It felt real. We got a little bit of, there's some carvings on the wall that they refer to, and we get a little bit of backstory about how other Jedi or Force sensitive people have passed through, and it's something of substance, and it's just too few and far between with this. But yeah, good scene.
This is also where they decide they're going to care about canon again, and also give themselves a huge amount of potential content to ruin, because this is the bit where they mention that Quinlan Vos is here or has been here recently. He's quite prominent in, I think is it the Clone Wars he's in? So he's still alive in this. And it's also mentioned that this is, this effectively the rat race tunnel they're using has transported not only a number of Jedi, but a number of Force sensitive younglings around, presumably shepherded and mastered by Quinlan Vos. All of these people are alive now then, and this route has been quite successful. At some point then, they will probably have to introduce him as fanbait, but they will have to explain why none of these people are around in 9 years' time when A New Hope comes about, because if there's so many Jedi around in the galaxy, why none of them in the original trilogy? So all they're doing is, it's got to the point now where you think, oh, fan service, yeah, I remember that guy. And then the next thought is, oh God, how are they going to ruin this? And they will find a way of doing it, I'm sure.
This is what question. They're all leaving their names on the wall there, right? They're all carving them on the wall.
In MDF.
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't the Empire around here?
Yeah, slightly slapdash of them, but
it is like Obi-Wan just slapping Obi-Wan was here on the wall in Tatooine.
So Vader just wanders in and go, right, take all the names down. They're all the ones we're after.
So droid, is this where the stormtroopers are knocking at the door?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they do this a few times in this episode with stormtroopers, just a tension scene, trying to build tension. Again, I was okay with it. I thought something was going to happen with the loader droid. I think we have one scene where he has a hammer behind his back. And
it does, yeah. We're going to get to
he's
that
going to
in a minute,
smack the fuck out of a stormtrooper. This could be fun.
They're listening to it going on, yeah. So yeah, hammer.
Wow, good work, Brown. Never doubted you.
Thank you,
but yes, it's just slightly anticlimactic. Nothing happens.
Much like these streams. Okay, so so the stormtroopers are leaving.
Yeah,
hammer,
I mean, this set inside this hideout, this set's quite good actually. It's a bit of a theme of this episode. We get some great sets and scenes, then we get some absolutely appalling amateurish sets and amateurish CGI. It's very strange.
Time Prophet, why would a loading robot have a hammer? Well, for knocking in nails, obviously.
We're finishing off the MDF work that the set designer did.
Yes. Right, so what's going on here? I can't remember.
If I'm right, I've made some notes on. Is this where Leia's talking to
the woman?
I've forgotten her name. Hottie.
Ilaria Sand.
Hottie from and the reason I made a note is she comes out with a line which I found strange. She's dressing or undressing, calm down, Brown, out of the Empire gear and into a more sort of rebel attire, and she puts on a belt, and she notices Leia looking at her, which I think is this scene, and she says, "Oh, I wear my holster on the other side. It makes for a faster draw." And I just thought, in what fucking galaxy does that make sense? If you're right-handed, you wear it on your right side. If you're left-handed, you wear it on your left side. When would you ever wear it on the opposite side to your gun hand, and it possibly be faster?
I think if you're holding like a rifle or a longer barreled gun, then it can make more sense to. I think stormtroopers wear their holsters on the opposite side to the gun hand because obviously you can't flick your wrist up with a heavy gun.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're a gunslinger, it makes much more sense to have it on the same hand. It is, as she says, a quicker draw. This scene is basically in existence to trail Leia's later development into a kind of fighter. And there's actually a line which says, Ilaria Sand says, I think in one day she'll make quite a fighter. And Obi-Wan says, yes, I think she will. That wasn't the most irritating thing about this. The most irritating thing about this scene for me was the way she said, I joined up when the Empire stood for something. Not the Republic, the Empire. So this morally praiseworthy character joined up when the Galactic Empire stood for something. But I think, as I said in my video, when has the Empire ever stood for anything the Republic didn't stand for, except for fascism, tyranny, slavery, and all the rest? So
yeah, it makes no sense. Yeah.
From a writing perspective, just to have a basic level of allegiance to the law, why not just have a join up during the Republic and fall out of love with the Empire when it becomes the Empire because of the way the Empire went? That's so easy to do. Just do that. Instead, it just invites these questions with this unnecessary line of dialogue, which it just doesn't. It jars with sort of what the character would be expected to have done.
Oh God, it's got in the chat. I was going to say the most frustrating thing about this scene was actually for Brownie. We didn't get the full undress scene. It cut away when she was stripping, but a bit of a contrast there between Melvin and RRTNZ. One of them is positively in love, and the other is.
Are we having a competition here? Is that what's going on?
It's they're having a competition in the chat to see who can get me the channel cancelled the quickest. I think Andy Mouse is his favourite at the moment.
This is that toxic fandom Disney's always talking about.
But are we racists?
We're misogynists and
we're sexist.
Okay. But we're not racists, are we? Though, are we?
Not in this scene because Reva's here.
Okay, so
look at this cranky old whitey standing there. Look at him.
Who's this crusty old fuck? Get him off!
Yeah.
Bloody honky idiot.
Okay, so the planning on leaving. Obviously, they've got to wait for the cargo ship to arrive, and lots of talking bollocks. That's the tunnel. We all do time profit.
Time profit channeling Vera there. Well done.
And then he goes to the end of the tunnel, and then he's like,
I've sensed something.
Oh, my bowels.
A presence I've not felt since.
And then he has a bit of a panic attack, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Is it because he hasn't disconnected himself from the Force then? Okay.
In the distance.
Here we go.
Back in Plywood Town.
Yeah. It's now middle of the night, 3 minutes later.
Yep.
Walkhead. What did Jonathan call
purpose?
Him?
Why is his wok is electric? It has a light on it.
It's one of those.
If it's red, does that mean it's on or off?
Heated woks.
They break lights.
No, when it turns green, it means your meal is ready.
It turns to white when he walks backwards.
Maybe Cat keeps his lunch in there or something. I don't
know. Jonathan, more scene chewing.
Come on, let's give it up for Time Prophets. He may have just done the gag of the stream there.
Thank you, Time Prophet.
I heard we come up with some great nicknames for these characters. I heard one in the week on Twitter with Darth. No, what's her name? Reva, calling her Darth Wakanda, which I thought was.
That is that racist.
I don't know. Really, it's no more racist calling someone a colonizer, is it, or a honky or whatever?
Okay, so Vader's approaching, and this is where he just kills people just for no reason at all.
Oh, this really.
He doesn't need to, though, does he?
Nope.
No, this is where Disney have got Vader all wrong. They do not understand the character. So first of all, they try and go with the slow reveal. We see his feet and the bottom of his cloak, and it's like, yes, reveal them bit by bit. Okay, we get it. But then he starts randomly tossing people around, and not anyone who's a threat to him or anyone he can get information out of.
Peasants.
Yeah, and there's no need for it. And the funniest moment is when he literally drags someone along the floor for about 15 feet and then lets them go for no reason other than effect. And everything we know about Vader, he's very calculated. He doesn't kill people for nothing. He wouldn't do anything that would slow him down. Everything's got a purpose. If it's to get information from them, this is just it's just to make Vader look like a badass, and it was really pathetic. Actually.
He actually snaps that guy's neck as well, which is pretty visceral for a Star Wars show. But there's no point to this at all. This, I think, as I said in my video, that this is something you'd expect from Kylo Ren or Space Moses, but Darth Vader is not about this. This is not. We don't need to see this from Vader because we already know what he is. The whole point of Vader is that everything about him is contained in his look and in his essence and in the space he takes up. You don't need this random wanton acts of mindless violence. The only argument I've been able to find for why he does this is that he knows Obi-Wan is here, so he's trying to
bait him,
coax him out, basically. Bait him by making innocent people suffer. But this doesn't work because we have analogous scenes in the originals where he doesn't do any of this. He will use the words, he will appeal to the dark side. He's much subtler. And the only people who've liked this, as far as I've seen, are normies, because in the course of making my video, I had to go and do some reading of reviews of the episode. NME decided that this was Vader as he always should have been because he wasn't bad enough in the originals because we didn't see him do this stuff. You have no understanding of that. There's no character appreciation there. What you just want is Darth Vader doing cliche evil guy stuff, and then that will make you like him. This is not ever what he's been about. The reason he's so popular is because he is so evil, despite being quite subdued about it. He's a nuanced villain, not just this random, wantonly violent menace. It's completely unnecessary.
So you like it, yeah?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Horrible.
Love the lack of accompanying soundtrack as well. They couldn't even be bothered to get the Imperial March in any form whatsoever. Nothing.
I mean, it's like remaking Jaws without the Jaws theme when Jaws says it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, everyone's giving this as Deborah Chowers. It's a lot of credit for a direction, but between the MDF backboards on some of these scenes and some of the logic fails and now
the random shaky cam they throw in for no very good reason in action sequences.
Awful.
But this woman's fit. But
she's let her hair down for you, Brown. I'd love to know what Andy Mouse thinks right now.
He'd be cracking one off in the toilet.
That's it. He's too busy. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. Load of robots doing something.
Obi-Wan sends baby Leia and Ilaria Sand off to run, and he will run off in a different direction to distract Vader and buy them some time, is the idea that's going on.
Yeah. Here you go. Going back to what I said earlier, guys. Time Prophet, the Ukrainian who played Darth Vader did not get paid. Yeah, and apparently tried to commit suicide as well.
Jesus Christ. And he's Ukrainian. Of all the nationalities, he'd have to be Ukrainian.
Did they not just give him like a Stinger missile and say, go off and have fun?
Knock yourself out, son.
So, hang on a minute. Obi-Wan's let Leia run off with some woman he's just met.
Yep. So he can run off somewhere else and buy time by doing nothing.
And why is Obi-Wan here? To protect Leia.
Okay, so... Inquisitor stir fries do it up to something.
Oh god!
And it's very dark. What's going on? I can't see it.
Yeah, I think it's just villagers kind of running. People who Vader's dragged around and attending to them. Here we go.
And then now they start teleporting him around. He's become fucking Michael Myers from Halloween or Jason from those Friday for the 13th films. He walks everywhere. Obi-Wan is run somehow miles out of town running, Vader just walks and has just teleported in front of him to set up this scene. And bear in mind, like, everything has been leading up to this moment, supposedly. We've had minutes and minutes and minutes of flashback and prequel callback. This is the thing. This is what the point of this show is supposed to be. And yet he turns up and then Obi-Wan just runs away. And then this happens 3 times. It's just, you can't write it less climactically than this. And they cut away in between these shots to Space Moses rampaging around MDF Village, trying to find baby Leia. Like, this is the worst way you could possibly have done this, and they did it.
And more importantly, Time Prophet, Indira was born in Bath, so she made a clean getaway.
Oh my God.
That's worthy of The Last Jedi, that kind of dad joke. I mean, Time Prophet, you've now done the best and worst joke on the stream. Well done, sir.
Jesus.
Cringing.
Yeah, as Lord Short was saying, this scene was talk about an anticlimax. We've already seen Ewan McGregor cowering from Vera, and we've now got him legging it from Vader. I mean, Vader lights the saber, fronts up to him, and he literally does a Scooby-Doo like kind of freeze and then legs it offset. It was I just shook my head at this point. I mean, go on, Brown. It must be good.
No, it's not. Far from it. Go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say, this still almost makes it look like Obi-Wan is, he's got some semblance of heroism about him, but he doesn't. He's eventually forced into igniting the saber. But as Lost George said,
Mr. Burke
pathetic.
Has
really
got a great
pathetic
opinion of this. What do you think, Ruin?
Oh, good God! I don't. Can you imagine a fight between the two? They might front up to each other and then have a who can starve to death first face off or something. I don't know.
No, it'd be like who would give up first.
Yes, that would be it. We'll go on hunger strike and see who dies first.
Obi-Wan tries because he runs away 3 times in a row. I think that is genuinely quite an easy question to answer, though, because Jake Skywalker is just objectively worse. Because this series is hemmed in by what comes later, so Obi-Wan has to redeem himself. Even if we don't see it in this show, we know he is redeemed in the end. It's not the same with Jake Skywalker. There is simply no redeeming him, because that's obviously charting a new course that sets the entirety of the future of the galaxy and determines all past events as well. Everything leads up to it. And this series, at least we can say, however bad Obi-Wan is in this show, he gets better. We cannot say that about Jake Skywalker, so that's an easy question. The more interesting one was Time Prophets later on. I think it's the comment straight after that. Time Prophet asks, why couldn't Vader sense the Force in Leia? And that is more interesting, because that happens a couple of times, I think, in this episode. And he's that close to her. We know she's Force sensitive. He can sense Obi-Wan. The explanation I would give as a writer for this show is that he's so fixated on finding Obi-Wan that he's not paying attention, but that's not entirely satisfactory, I don't think.
You could say that about him interrogating Leia in episode 4, but I always thought it was because he can't sense the Force in somebody that isn't using the Force, or it hasn't awakened in them. So Leia was never really trained to use it. It only came out in her much later on in the story, and by that point, he kind of knew Luke had a sister anyway. So that's where they can get around it.
I will say, Mr. Berger is earning his moderator's wrench at this rate. This one's for you, Ruin.
Oh, what a pleasure. Yes, winner gets titty milk, loser gets second go on the teat. Yes,
they could do that sort of competitive eating or drinking, couldn't they? Between the two of them.
I did like the kind of glowiness of these.
No, this still's great. Like I say, I'm looking at that still thinking, Christ, I don't remember that from the show. You make it look good.
Yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah. Isn't it?
Can we have you editing this rather than Disney, please, Brownie?
I might be better than Deborah Chow.
Yes.
Okay, so Reva is looking for stuff.
We've built up that previous scene built up for all the months leading up to this show. It's this show's reason for being, but they don't think it's important enough to spend full time and attention on it. So we also have to flash back to find Space Moses hunting for baby Leia, because that's equivalently important to this rematch of the Duel of the Fates. Hooray! Great writing.
Ruin for you. You see that?
I do, and always is the answer, Melvin.
Yeah.
Always green.
We wouldn't have it any other way on this channel.
Infused with soy.
Always the green option on this channel. So she's kind of looking round. Leia's running down the tunnel.
That seems insignificant, but just note the absence of other doorways or ways into that tunnel. There's no other way through the tunnel. Just bear that in mind, because it does become relevant later.
Because I'm assuming it's a long tunnel.
Yeah.
So the bestest ever is at the safe house end.
Yes, Vader's at the safe house end, only just arriving, and Leia has already, we assume,
been running miles.
most way down the tunnel, accompanied by Hottie.
Yeah, look, the picture here, yeah. Inquisitor Braid is there.
Yes.
In the safe house looking round.
Yeah. Yep, she's not even got into the tunnel.
During the meantime, Leia is running down this big fucking tunnel.
But bear in mind how fast she runs, Brown. I mean,
yes. Time Prophet. Why do futuristic uniforms have lights on them so the enemy can see you?
Wow. It's like when you're playing Laser Quest, isn't it? Get double points for hitting the light. Oh, God.
And
is that you? No, that does not look like you, McGregor. I don't know if it's just the motion or...
you get very similar effects taking acid and going to a techno club.
I just love the expression.
Kick drum going down your...
It's a shame it's not clearer, because that expression, if it were clearer, would just be meme worthy.
Oh, yes.
Just imagine what you could do with that. That's good.
There he is. There's our hero, everyone. Yes, I think Time Prophet's right. I think that's the stunt double, which is disappointing. I mean, why can't you do some of the lightsaber stuff?
Well, they did it all together. He and Hayden Christensen did all, if not all, then certainly the majority of the swordplay in Revenge of the Sith. There's no reason for him not to remember any of that stuff. But just again, I mean, it's just remember. Well, you don't even need to remember, because the fucking show it's actually shown you this. Just remember how epic the final fight was between Anakin and Obi-Wan. The sublime technique, how high octane it was consistently. I know some people will say it went on too long, and I'm slightly sympathetic to that argument, but just the aesthetic of it, the technique, the talent that goes into it. This show has been so unwise as to show us some of that, because it just invites the comparison. Now what do we get? Just two people swinging sticks at each other. It's so bad. This is the rematch of the century. Like one old broken man against some guy, and no, just everything about this is bad.
Night, Andy. Have sweet dreams about India.
Oh yes, I'm sure he will. That's why he's going for an early night, everyone.
Yes.
The only thing, I mean, I was trying. I watched this episode twice for my sins. First time, and then again in preparation for tonight. I was trying to think why would they present it this way, with Obi-Wan looking so fucking useless and cowardly, and I thought, I wonder if they're trying to echo the Luke Vader matchup in Empire. And they're obviously trying to show a win for Vader to later on
Team
maybe
Vader.
to then show Obi-Wan comes back and wins over. But you can't do that, because Obi-Wan, we've seen him. Luke was a Padawan, I suppose. He was still learning in Empire, which is obviously why he'd be defeated by the much more powerful Vader. Yeah. In this, we know Obi-Wan is much more capable. Okay, he's not in touch with the Force, but we know he's a much more capable fighter. You can't have him being highly capable in the prequels, fucking useless and cowardly now, and then going back to really capable and powerful later on. I know you can say PTSD and this and that and the other, but they really did make a mockery of Obi-Wan here for me.
They did, and it's like we've seen him being hyper competent in fights earlier in this same episode, and in episode 2 as well. So it's not like there is a way you can do this from a writing point of view. This is obviously we've had the build up. Obi-Wan senses, he feels his failure as a master deeply. He knows what Anakin. Well, does he know? Well, he knows now that Anakin is still alive. This is the first time he's seen Anakin as Darth Vader proper. You can build this up. It requires a lot more time, not 3 episodes in which it's given barely any attention at all. You could build it up so when he finally sees Vader for the first time in the armor with the red lightsaber, he is hit by the absolute shock of his failure in full gaze for the first time since that fight in Revenge of the Sith. You can build that, but that's something you'd have to spend all season building up to. And then it should be pretty much, if not the final scene, then the penultimate one, because he would have to escape afterwards. What you can't do is what they've tried to do here, which is he just falls to pieces for reasons and then is incompetent, and he lights his lightsaber for the first time in the show and is just crap, and the sword play is terrible. They've not given this as much weight as they should have given it in the way they should have given it, which is bizarre given how much they've tried to put
conveniently very quickly. Nothing's been earned again.
There's no this is a payoff to something. Yeah, exactly, as you say, that's not been earned at all. It just doesn't.
Like Vader's just turned up from nowhere.
And it could also, we have to say this does pretty much. I can't see any way in which this cannot wreck their first meeting in A New Hope, which is why in my video that the first 30 seconds is a montage combining quotes from that meeting with these scenes. Vader turns up and says, we meet again at last. Well, okay, but 5 minutes ago you were just fighting. When I left you, I was but the learner. And then you flash back to him here, kicking the shit out of Obi-Wan and dragging him through fiery sand. Now I am the master. And just none of this makes sense from a story point of view. It massively detracts. I can't think of any way they can row back from that or fix it. I can't see any way in which this does not,
unless if they are going alternative timeline and rebooting Star Wars.
I really don't think they're doing that. I mean, there's no indication that's what they're doing. None of the interviews. Well, no, but normally there's some indication that that's the kind of approach they're taking.
Could be a sleeper plan. This girl could be in 10 years' time be playing Leia.
No, I just don't think so. It's not that's not what you would have seen what they were going for by now. They're not subtle enough to keep something like that under wraps. That would have made itself felt in the writing by this point. This is just, we need to get these guys on screen again because prequel memes, and so let's do it. I don't think they care. I don't think they care enough to remake the timeline in that way. It would be a nonsense if they tried it, but I don't think that's what they're going for.
Okay,
it's just shocking, really.
I think this is Reva going in the room and seeing the wooden things.
Yes, again, more time elapsed. Leia, again, further along in the tunnel. So bear that in mind.
Back to the fight.
Oh God, I can't wait. We're getting closer to the moment of defeat for Obi-Wan. I can't wait to get Swapper's reaction, because I did actually burst out laughing when we get to the fire scene coming up. But yes, he's kind of they use the old smoke effect, but eventually I think Vader nails him.
So this is where Reva is looking. Obi was here.
Yeah, yes. That's where the graffiti wasn't a good idea. And only now is she found the tunnel. Yeah. Again, remember it, man, babies.
This girl can't act.
Oh, goddamn racist.
Okay, so we're getting to the fire scene. So he's lifting Obi up.
This is bringing my flu out again, like to ridiculous extent. It's horrible. I'm wondering whether I'm actually not ill. It's just that I've watched this. That's the reason.
And coming on this channel is probably finishing you off. This should be a moment where we've waited for what, 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as crap as possible. I think they are making it willfully as crap as possible.
I don't think so, because if you're willfully making it crap, that implies you care. And none of this tells me that these
okay.
people care. They don't care enough about this to understand the backstory, the story, to make it consistent, to make it cohere about the
There you
lore.
go.
None of this says they care.
Yeah, Melvin says all this Disney crap is only to sell subscriptions and action figures.
That's it. That is it. It's cold calculating. Yeah, memes are popular. Let's get these characters. Let's have, as Kathleen Kennedy put it, the rematch of a century, WrestleMania 95. That's all we're doing. Bring the Undertaker back. Yeah, it'll work.
Time Prophet makes a very good point. Nobody complained about Moff Gideon.
Oh my god! So Anson Mount, when he put a tweet out defending Captain Pike, for those who don't know, he put a tweet out defending Moses Ingram against the so-called racist Star Wars fans. And I don't remember the exact words, but it went something like, she's being attacked by a racist fan base which selectively omits Lando, and he mentioned Samuel L. Jackson, and a few other black actors. Selectively omits is a really interesting form of words there. Basically, what that tweet boils down to is, these people are racist, but they like these black guys. But they're still racist because they've just chosen not to care about them, as opposed to the more plausible good faith explanation, which is just, actually, no, racism is a pretty minimal thing here. What people are complaining about is storylines, bad characters, and terrible writing. It's just, everything about this entire race argument to do with fucking Disney Star Wars is bad faith from the point of view of the actors, the studios, everyone. His tweet undermines itself. They're being racist and they selectively omit Billy D. Williams. Well, okay, maybe that's because they're not racist then. What's the good faith explanation for this? Why are you getting involved in this anyway, Captain Pike? You've got your own torpedoing series to manage.
I know.
Meanwhile, the entire cast of Rogue One are sat over there going with their hands up, waving, going, are we a fucking joke to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the most diverse of all the Disney movies, TV shows, what have you, and the most well thought of, the most popular. No one had a problem with it. It's funny
and that's what got people so irritated with Moses Ingram when she put the tweet out saying, Disney have warned me about you racist fans. And then she goes on to say, I think it's about time we started doing diversity in Star Wars. It's like, so you've not watched any of it, have you? And then she's surprised when people send her nasty messages on social media. Well, if you don't want that, maybe don't preemptively call people you want to watch your show racist. Maybe that's the thing to do.
Yeah, it's 101 wrestling heel behavior, isn't it? Like the wrestling heel shouts to the crowd, "Don't you boo me!" And then what do the crowd do?
Yeah.
It really is ridiculous. And by the way, look, anyone who sends racist messages is scum. We all know that, and
absolutely
no need for it.
None of us partake in that. Obviously, goes without saying. But it's also the internet. It's also being in the public, and I'm not saying it's acceptable, but everyone gets God knows, I've had death threats for mocking The Last Jedi over the last 5 years. There are idiots and weirdos and psychos out there, but it doesn't mean it's representative of the wider fan base. And it can't be used as an excuse to stifle.
You've had death threats?
Valid criticism. I've had genuine death threats. Yeah. For making jokes about a movie.
Okay, so this is where he sets fire to the flammable sand. What was in a bucket?
Just happened to be sitting there conveniently, as though he planned it all out.
Hang on a minute. Elsewhere in the galaxy, meanwhile, sand in a bucket is used to put out fires.
Romeo says, the Anson Mount reference is a good time to mention that Trek Strange New Worlds Ep 4 is the best hour of Trek in 20 years.
I'm glad to hear it.
It was not bad, yes.
I've not seen that one yet.
The woman who plays Spock's Mrs. Smoking, that's all I'm going to say. Absolutely fucking smoking. Okay, so...
Not as smoking as Anakin, as Obi's going to be in a moment.
Yeah.
Hi, Darth. How are you doing?
Looks like he's waving, doesn't it?
So Obi's getting barbecued.
Oh god! Now the only thing that could have made this scene worse is if Obi-Wan looked up and said to Darth Vader, "I hate
I hate you.
Jesus Christ!
I like the way his robes don't catch fire, or his beard, or anything.
I suppose he was rolling around. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's dragged. He was not only dragged through the fire, he's left lying on the fire for a prolonged period, and then when we go back to him, he's basically just got a couple of charred marks on his arm.
And then
So
obviously this is Vader saying, "I'm going to put you through what you put me through."
Mm.
But then he wants to capture Obi-Wan. So rather than there's an important thing. There's an important thing in between these two slides, which is that he extinguishes the fire with the Force and pushes Obi-Wan away from him as opposed to bringing him back toward him. Two important things. Firstly, he wants to catch him, but he pushed him away, which is pretty clearly an obvious setup for some kind of interruption. Secondly, we've just seen he can put fire out with the Force. So what happens next, I wonder? Because we've had Ilaria Sand turn up, having left Leia, and she decides, as opposed to shooting Darth Vader, the obvious big bad guy, she shoots a random stormtrooper. Then she shoots the tank full of flammable sand, which has regained all its flammable sand, even though Vader just tipped it over. So that explodes. The fire is there again. We've literally just seen that Darth Vader can put this out with the Force, but he doesn't bother. He just lets it happen and just watches. Why can he not do the same thing? What literally, there is no reason he can't just force push the fire out again or drag Obi-Wan back through it. Why does he do none of these things?
He doesn't even need to drag him at all, does he? He could just literally barbecue him by holding him over the fire until he's cooked, if he really wanted to.
Maybe that question will be answered in the supplementary novelization of this scene.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, of course, you can't rely solely on the televised version. You have to read the supplementary novels and explanatory texts.
Melvin Deeply, while Obi was in the flames, they should have played this old song, Fire, Fire,
Fire.
Yeah. By the Crazy World of Arthur Brown. No relation. Thank you, Melvin. Who was that song by? Ooh, 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 ooh. Can you feel the force?
Was it Gina G, Brownie?
Probably.
Whitfield.
No, it's like a 70s disco.
Yeah, I know the one. I don't know who did it though.
Can you feel the force?
I only listen to good music, so I don't know.
Time Prophets. How on earth are you expected to understand the genius of The Last Jedi if you don't read the supplementary bollocks?
Lord Chord only listens to good music, folks.
Yes, he does.
There you go.
And then he sits there like a melon, just watching the fire, as opposed
like
to
a melon.
Like, what is the why? He can. We know he can interrupt all of this, and then Master Chief turns up and
takes him out, doesn't he?
Yeah.
This was the face-off I really wanted. Vader versus the loader. Go on.
Motor Chief. Yeah.
So, Inquisitor stir fry.
Yeah, in silhouette. Very nice. Making me hungry every time I see him, by the way.
Loader has pulled him off.
At some point in the next scene, like next episodes, we'll see the light on his hat go green, a little ping. And we'll know it's done.
It's steam coming out of his helmet where it's ready.
Is that when he gets an idea?
Does he have orange lights when he's turning left and right as well?
Indicators.
Indicator lights when he's turning alt right. You know?
Honestly, it's Spaceballs, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
And then magically here, Space Moses has teleported through the tunnel to the other side.
Because that's the pilot, isn't it, that she's killed. Come here, little girl. That's quality. I don't know about you folks. Quality.
Well, it's certainly logic defying, but Yeah.
Matthew, you really do need to watch episode 2 and 3.
I don't know if he does need to. I mean, the funniest thing here was, again, I think the editing, I think they thought they were being clever because Leia turns up and then you hear Vera's voice and then
Yeah.
they don't show her. And somehow we're meant to believe it's someone else. But it's clearly her. I mean, it was completely just such a damp squib to end it on. And
Yeah, it was a bit, wasn't it? Okay.
yeah.
Tune in next week, folks.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, this is where it ends.
Yep.
That's it. That's absolutely it.
Disney employee nabs child, and then we get the end.
Okay, so we'll have a
next week we
sentence.
find out how she got to the end of the tunnel before anyone else, without when it's only a one-way minimal entry.
It's plot convenient teleportation. It's a established mechanic in this universe.
She broke through the MDF. That's how she did it.
Bar fried rice. That sounds quite tasty. Feeling quite peckish now with all this talk of stir fries.
You can't repel flavour of that magnitude.
Reva is kind of creepy in her lines. Tim, I think it's because she can't act. Don't you?
Yeah, I do. That makes me a racist. I'm sorry.
Okay, right. A sentence, paragraph from each of you, and then we'll take our leave. So, Lord, do you want to go?
Oh God, through maximum flu. Okay. So, well, again, they have tried. This is the entire reason this show exists. It's effectively to engineer this encounter, this re-meeting between Obi-Wan and Vader. And they have shown that they have no reason for doing it. All they wanted was to have these two characters on screen in a showdown, because hey, you remember that, don't you guys? Didn't you like that the last time? So here it is again, and everything else around it is just there for convenience or as an excuse because they need to pad it out with something. They clearly don't have a story to tell here, because if they had a story to tell, they wouldn't have made every single episode, bar perhaps the first one of this show, contradict something in the grander Star Wars story and the grander Star Wars arc. They have no care about placing it within canon, placing it within subsequent events. All they've done is looked at the immediate past and said, that was popular. We've all seen the memes. Let's put it online now as a series. That's it. It is profound carelessness. And that is kind of astonishing, given that what they're effectively doing now is, we've reached the point where the prequels are held up as the Star Wars content, which was always debatable, even if you find things to like in them, which I do. We've reached the point where the prequels are the arch Star Wars content, and now they're demeaning those. And in demeaning those, they are wrecking the setup for future films as well. Carelessness is the only word for it. But I don't mean that just in the sense of innocent, sort of carefree carelessness. I mean that in the sense that they are actively nihilistic about the franchise they are stewarding, which is the best loved story probably in cinematic history, or at least one of them. And that really should be seen as a kind of a crime against art itself, I think. I don't think that's hyperbolic. But we've now reached the point where we can, we have to laugh at it, because otherwise what would we be doing? Either crying or raging. It's incredibly depressing that this is the fate of the Star Wars franchise. But that is where we are. So, yeah.
You are a man of many words, aren't you?
Even through the flu, yes. It's cut my vocabulary in half, though, so that could have been an even longer answer than it was.
Swappers, I know you've just seen the slides. What do you think?
Just when you thought the first two episodes were terrible.
You need to watch it, mate. You need to watch it.
The third one comes along and trumps them both.
You need to watch it. Please, take one for the team. You need to watch it.
How bad is number 4 going to be? That's all I have to say.
That's why you need to watch it, because we need you back next week, mate. As a true Star Wars fan, you need to suffer.
This isn't Star Wars. What are you talking about?
It's all lot in life to suffer.
Romeo says, other than Indira Varma, yeah, it's just mediocre shite. She was a highlight. The girl can act. She's a good-looking girl. She can act. What more can we say? So I know Andy Mouse likes her. So, Ruin, we'll leave the final word with you, my friend.
Well, I'll keep it brief, my man, and I'll just say we were told it would be the rematch of the century. It ended up being the fuck up of the century. Nothing more to say than that, I'm afraid. We tried to pull some morsels of positivity from this episode, and there were a few around about the start, but ultimately, the Vader stuff was ridiculous. The Obi-Wan being a coward was just pathetic. Too many logic fails to take this show seriously. The direction, some of the sets, some of the CGI, and the plot. The best way to view this: take Ewan McGregor out, replace him with some no-mark actor, put it on YouTube, and if you stumbled across it, you'd think, okay, someone's done a bit of fan fiction. But you'd probably give up halfway through. You think, no, this doesn't make sense. They've not really paid attention to the lore. No, not for me. And you give it a downvote and you move on. This is the work of Disney with all their millions, with all their writing teams,
Corporate,
with all this so-called talent, and with some of the finest actors available, and also Moses Ingram.
And Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yeah, and this is what we get. It's astonishing, and actually it's a disservice to the fans who make some great YouTube short movies which are far more well thought out and executed. So the worst of the three, but unbelievably we've had 3 terrible episodes, but this is the worst because it's the most sacrilegious, let's say.
It is reaching the point where it's making me look slightly more kindly on The Last Jedi. And that,
well, as we said last week, it's a masterpiece. That is a masterpiece.
That's the biggest positive note we can leave it on. Thank you.
So
Lord
I think
Shaw.
on that bombshell, I think we'll take our leave. So I will thank the panelists. Lord, cheers, pal.
Thank you as ever.
Swappers, thanks for popping on, mate.
No, thank you. Always fun chatting with you guys, even though I haven't seen it. I now feel suitably depressed. Thanks for the chat. Everybody, you're really entertaining, far more entertaining than this shite show. Anyway.
Yeah, and the main man himself. Cheers, Ruin.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm enjoying the pain, believe it or not, a bit like Anakin in the Vader suit. But we'll soldier on. There's 3 more to go.
Oh, Jesus. It is a game of 2 halves, isn't it? So I'll just say to everybody in the chat, you're wonderful guys. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, man, baby.